Record. 3, 2, 1, and we are going. Hello and welcome to the Avanti Entrepreneur Show. I am Dave Mamano, your host, and I am here to help you move forward by bringing you great, cutting-edge, exciting, inspiring guests like the one I have today, Brian Wright. Brian K. Wright. Brian K. Wright, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, David, for having me. This will be fun.
Yeah, thank you. And I included the K there because we were talking pre-show that in the Phoenix area alone, there's 12 to 15 Brian Wrights, let alone the rest of the country and world. So
Exactly.
You segment yourself by putting the K in there. So Brian K. Wright. Hey, Brian, I met you through a mutual friend, Ken Walls. I always want to thank whoever referred, and Ken has actually referred me to a lot of great guests. So when he refers a guest, I take it very seriously. I saw him. I saw you on his show, and you did a great job. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So Brian, you got some great things going on. You are the host of your own radio show called Success Profiles Radio.
Yes.
You are also the publisher of a magazine, which, by the way, Kindred Spirits, we didn't even talk about this, but my first business was a national magazine for high school students called Next Step U. Oh. And we distributed it free in about 20,000 high schools, and we would help them with college and career planning, and we sold ads to make our revenue, mostly to colleges. We, unfortunately, after 18 years, had to put it online. Teens in print, did not make the digital revolution too well. So we moved on from them. Then I started Avanti shortly thereafter. So I'm a print brother of yours for sure. But congratulations on being able to keep a magazine going in this world. And you obviously great businessman and found a really great niche. But you're publisher of Success Profiles magazine as well.
Yeah, it's a digital magazine, but I do occasionally print some out to give away at networking events and for various other reasons. So
I do have a few magazine, right?
Sorry?
Just keeping some semblance of any magazine these days is a great accomplishment.
Thank you.
So tell us about, how did it all start? Did you start the radio show first and the magazine?
Yes, the radio show came first. It actually all started, my journey started in high school. Mm-hmm. And the speech coach said, Brian, you need to do speech contest. And I said, I don't know about this. I wasn't at a place where I really was confident to do something like that. I had a bad experience in junior high saying the Lord's Prayer in church and forgetting it halfway through. Mm-hmm. And so when the speech coach said, you need to go up for speech, my mind just went back there and I thought, I don't want to do that again. But she said, take the rule book home and read all the events, read the descriptions of all the events. And I think there might be something there that could resonate with you. I took it home and there was one event called Radio News Announcing. And the thing that was very attractive to me is I did not have to actually face my audience. I thought, this might be fun. And so what happens in this event is you are given a bunch of news stories. You have 30 minutes to compile a short 4 to 5 minute newscast. And you're being evaluated not only on how well you deliver it, but on the stories that you picked and what order you put them in. So it had to be, pretty tight. And ended up getting a 1 at districts, ended up getting a 1 at state. And I said, this was fun. Let's do this again. And the coach said, you can't because they require you to do a different event if you get a 1 at state. So now I had to face an audience. Mm. But my journey went from there. I ended up competing in college as well. I did some teaching in a college environment. I taught public speaking, English composition, and business math. And the commonality was those were all required courses. So I tried to make it as fun as I could. But radio ended up calling me. I had a friend who was on the TogiNet Radio Network, which is where I am now. And he said, Brian, you have a really great voice. You've got a great message. I think you should have a show. And we talked a few times about it and I decided eventually to go ahead and do it. So in January 2012, I had my first episode. And Hal Elrod was my first guest. This was before Miracle Morning.
Yeah. Wow.
So I asked him during the show, I said, so tell me about this Miracle Morning I'm hearing about. And he said, I'm not done yet. I said, well, then we'll have you back when you are. And a year and a half later, he was done. He was promoting. And I reminded him of that. He says, I remember you asking me that. So he's been on my show 3 times now.
Wow. I just had him on a couple of months ago myself. What an incredible guy.
Great. Oh, he's incredible. His last appearance on my show was about a year and a half ago. He was promoting the Miracle Equation, which was brand new at that time.
Yeah, read that too. Yeah. And for Avanti family listening, if you haven't read The Miracle Morning, and there's a lot of different versions of it, kind of like Chicken Soup for the Soul, there's like 100 versions, right? I think Hal has at least 20 versions. I read Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs. A lot of different versions. He wrote that one with Cameron Harold, but truly a life-changing book. By changing your morning, you change your life. So that's all I'm going to say about that. If you haven't read it, Miracle Morning, Google it on Amazon, get it. Enough said. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that was it. And I've had a chance to interview some really amazing people. I think yesterday was my 364th episode or something like that. Yeah. So it's an hour-long show. I've been doing it for almost 8.5 years.
And when's it on?
Monday, 6 Eastern.
Okay. So Monday, every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. SuccessProfilesRadio.com. You can type that into your browser and go to and do that. You can also find it on iTunes, so you could hear any previous episode, and you can subscribe for free. Please do it. It'd be great.
Yeah. So tell me, I know some of the guests that we talked about, you've had Darren Hardy, who used to be a publisher of Success Magazine and now runs high performance forums, and great thought leader, mutual friend. Jack Canfield, speaking of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I just had Mark Victor Hansen on my podcast, his co-author. Yeah. And then that was another one from Ken Poole. Thank you, Ken. Kevin Harrington, who really started the whole as seen on TV thing, right? And then he actually was on Shark Tank for the first season, at least, if not more. And then Sharon Lechner, I've had her on my podcast, another Ken one. So you've had some great guests. Who else? I mean, who else have you had that we would have heard of? And you know, the question is, how do you get in touch with these people? How do they say yes to you?
Tom Ziegler's been on a couple times.
Oh, Zig Ziglar's son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Frank Shankwitz, who started the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
I'm on the Make-A-Wish board.
Yeah, really great. And who else? UFC champion Rich Franklin has been on my show. That was a fun show.
Yeah.
Mark Victor Hansen, as we mentioned. Stedman Graham was on my show in January.
Wow.
Chris Powell from ABC's Extreme Weight Loss.
Yeah.
Helps people lose hundreds of pounds. Dan Locke has been on my show. Just a lot of amazing people. Brad Sugars, action coach.
Yeah. Oh, good names. So how did this idea come to you? So you started the radio show and then you started the magazine, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about the journey, about how did you end up here?
Yeah. I realized after a while that I had a bunch of content that I needed to repurpose because it was just sitting out there. You do the show once and it's out there, but what am I doing to keep that content alive? Yeah. So I decided to do a couple different things. First of all, I did a book called Success Profiles: Conversations with High Achievers. And this is on Amazon. I also have some in my office if someone really wants to get one, order one from me, a signed copy. Brian@briankwright.com is my email address. And then I did volume 2, and this came out in October.
Beautiful.
So what I'm doing is repurposing some of my very best interviews. And I'm also repurposed some of my material in my magazine. The feature article and cover is always someone who's been on my show. Yeah. And then I invite people to contribute to the magazine. And some people do it every month. Some people do it when they can. Some people have contributed once. It's fine. Yeah. And occasionally I get some people who do ads. So it's good. And it's a paid subscription. So that's the model I use.
I was going to say, what's your revenue stream, but people pay for the digital edition.
They can go monthly, annually, or once forever. And it's at successprofilesmagazine.com. You can check it out there.
Yeah. Very good. What's your revenue stream for your radio show? Do you have some ads on that?
I do. I'm doing some affiliate marketing with that as well. I think because the radio show is free to listen to, what I also do is I post my own commercials for ghostwriting, which I also do. When I've had an online summit, Authorpreneur Live, I had an ad for that. So I use that to promote other things that I'm doing. And if other people want to promote, they can pay me to do that.
Yeah. All right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So after talking to hundreds of really entrepreneurial superstars, is there kind of a theme of maybe the top 5 advice tips that you would give beginning to middle stage entrepreneurs who, let's say, they've launched, right, and they got it going, but a lot of times you get to that point where you kind of forget why you became an entrepreneur because you get so involved in all the logistics and the day-to-day. And, as we're recording this in mid-March here, we're in the middle of the coronavirus, crisis. And people, some people say, "Oh my God, why did I do this?" Right? What are some of the tips for you to teach entrepreneurs to really remember why they became an entrepreneur and focus on growing and scaling their business?
Yeah. The first thing I always point to is gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be thankful for wherever you are and whatever you have, because you will not attract more of what you want if you are not grateful for what you already have.
Love it. Yeah.
You
And write it, a lot of people write it down, right? In a journal every day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be worthy of, you have to become who you want to be. I think a lot of people, they make decisions based on where they are now. And this is sometimes a trick for me is if you want to say, have a multi-million-dollar business, you need to make decisions based on where you're going to be, not based on where you are right now. Because if you're basing your decisions based on making $50, $60, $40,000 a year, wherever you're at, you're not going to get to where you want to go. And I've heard it said that once you reach six figures, it requires a completely different skill set to get to seven figures. Mm-hmm. What got you to 100 to a million will not, 100,000 will not get you to a million. What got you to a million will not get you to 10 million.
Right.
It's a different skill set, and you have to do things differently, and you have to think about things differently. And so that's the journey. I asked Laura Langmeyer when she was on my show, what's the most difficult part about earning $1 million? And she said, earning the first 100,000 is the hardest part. Yeah. Because you have to get started. You have to have your systems in place, and you have to have your routines, and you have to just figure out what you're doing and figure out what people want. And that's the other thing too, is ask people what they want, especially in a time like this. Ask your customers what they want, ask people what they need, and then find a way to provide it. It's not always about providing people what you have. It's about providing people what they want and create it if necessary.
That's a total mic drop moment. I mean, you're so right. I know a lot of us, we have this great idea, and it's our idea, it's our product, and we sell it. But like, have we asked the tough questions? Not even the tough questions, just the questions like, do you need it? What do you need? Right? I always talk about Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. One of my favorite quotes of his is, don't chase success, create value, and success will find you. Boom, right there. I mean, that's exactly what you're talking about. And the only way you could create value is doing an assessment, figuring out like, what do people need? And do a little lean startup with it, because it might even pivot from there, right? But no, very, very important. I always ask, I'm sorry, was there any more advice along the way here before I ask you my next question?
Ooh.
I'm sure there's tons, right? But
I'm sure there's tons. It's like, where do I even start? I think, having, what you said, remembering why you started, but having a bold vision and never ever giving up on it. You may need to pivot on how you get there, but don't ever give up. Right. And there's temptations to give up, especially right now, but you have a gift that the world needs. And as long as you keep remembering that, it'll help you. And you surround yourself with like-minded people. Surround yourself with people who are capable of getting you to where you want to go. Don't be the smartest person in the room, because if you are, you need a new room.
Yep, I love that. Yep, Cameron Harrell said it to me years ago. It always stuck with me. If you're the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. Worth repeating. Mm-hmm. And then what you said too is surround yourself with the right people. Getting back to Jim Rohn, right? You're the average of the 5 people that you hang around the most, right? So hanging around with turkeys, guess what? You may be the top turkey, right? But you're still a turkey.
Right, exactly.
So what I would love to hear about is, so I just came out with a book a couple of months ago called Crash and Learn. And it was based on, during my podcast, which I've been doing every week since October of 2016. Often the most popular question I ask with my audience is, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Guest, tell me about a time when you were riding high, doing really well, and you crashed and almost burned, but instead you learned, you readjusted, realigned, reinvented, and rose like the phoenix. And, most entrepreneurs are like, oh my God, which story do you want? Right. And so it ended up, me and I got 9 other authors. We each wrote a chapter about our crash and learn experience instead of crash and burn. Mm-hmm. And it's doing really well. I mean, Amazon bestseller in 4 categories. And there's people that are really loving these experiences because it makes them feel not alone. Right. Like, oh, Oh, they've done that too. These really successful people have done that too. I mean, if you listen to Elon Musk, he talks about his failures, right? It's like everyone has failed who's tried, right? So do you have a crash, and I'm going to call it crash and learn story that to share with us?
Where would I start?
Oh, there you go. That's a common response, right? So
One time I had a rental property and it was about 45 minutes outside of town. And I think I allowed myself to say yes way too soon. And I was working with an agent who I think really wanted the deal more than I did. And I gave in.
mm-hmm.
And it was a good experience. I'm glad I had the experience. I would do things a lot differently. But after having 3 different tenants in there who eventually could not pay, and this happened, I bought it at the top of the market the last time around. Who knew, right? No crystal balls. So the third person who was in it was going to do a rent to own, and she had been in the house for almost 2 years and never executed the buy part of it. And then she told me, I can't afford to stay in your house. I need to move back to Pennsylvania and take care of my mom. And the house was in no condition to sell, and I could not afford to fix it. So I had to let it go in a short sale. I should have had a property manager.
Right.
I should have had a property manager. And I actually did hire one, but all she did was place an ad in the local newspaper that came out every 2 weeks. I said, did you do anything else to get new tenants? And after I pressed her several times, she finally admitted that that's all she did. I said, I could have done that.
Right. Yep.
And then she still insisted on her fee. I'm like, I'll reimburse you for the ad,
Yeah.
but you didn't do anything.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But that didn't end well. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm not going to give up on real estate. I will. Now I think there's going to be another real estate bubble, crash, whatever you want to call it. I think that's coming up. Those who have money now and learn their lessons from the last recession are going to be in a great position to buy in the not too distant future, I think.
Right. I agree. How about your business? Has it been, lollipops and puppy dogs since you started?
Not always.
Yeah.
Not always. I'll tell you what, I had a life-threatening illness in 2014 and I had to pause everything for 3 months.
Okay.
That was hard. And
so about 6 years ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Being a solopreneur, as I still am, I do have people helping me do certain things now. Yeah. And I didn't have a magazine then either. I was just doing my show, and that was really it. But I realized that, if I'm the only one working on something, then there's no income.
Yeah.
That makes life a lot harder.
Yeah. Yeah. So one hell of a learning experience. And I'm glad that you restored your health and you were able to fight another day, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Good for you. How about some of your success habits? Speaking of success profiles, how about a profile on your own success? What do you do, every morning, every day to make sure that you're at the top of your game? Are you doing some of the miracle morning routines and some of your own?
I'm doing some stuff. I love listening to affirmations. There are a lot of great affirmations on YouTube, whether it's about happiness or health or losing weight or gaining wealth. A lot of great affirmations on YouTube to listen to. In fact, Bob Proctor has an affirmation. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis.
Beautiful.
And it's looped over and over again for 2 straight hours.
Wow.
So you just listen to that. You still listen. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you listen to something like that often enough, then you start to really believe it. And there are a couple more audios that are 8 hours long that are looped every few minutes. I haven't figured out what the interval is, but you hear the same things over and over again.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of Hal's Miracle Morning is the affirmations. It's the A in savers, right?
Yep.
But then right after that, there's the visualization, right? So, then visualize you actually make. How are you going to make that money? What are you doing to make that money, right? I think that's a very important part as well. So, yeah, very good.
And reading is very, very important too.
Yep. So, speaking of reading, what are some of your favorite books for entrepreneurs?
Jack Canfield, The Success Principles. Is always one of my favorites. It's always one of my go-tos. A lot of really great stuff. In fact, when he was on my show, we talked about the 10th anniversary edition.
Yeah.
So that was good. And I read the original version in 2005, and I have some of the audios for that as well. I like the Aladdin Factor that he and Mark Victor Hansen did.
Mhm.
about the power of asking for what you want. And that also is on YouTube. The entire audiobook is on YouTube. It's probably 7.5 hours if you want to invest in that and invest your time in that and listen to that. That's really great too. I
Right.
bought a book recently by Todd Herman called The Alter Ego Effect. And he
Mhm.
talks about how he coaches high level peak performance people. And if they have some kind of anxiety around their performance or what they're doing, they adopt an alter ego.
Hmm.
Bo Jackson did that. He said Bo Jackson never played a down of football in his life.
Right.
And it's very interesting because Bo Jackson has said that he has a terrible temper tantrum. And so what he did is he channeled Jason from Friday the 13th to get that calm, cool, collected, determined killer instinct. And that's who he
Right.
was on the football field. And Jason only lived on the football field. So top
Interesting.
performers
Yeah.
will adopt an alter ego. We even talked about Superman and Clark Kent. Who's the alter ego? A lot of people will say it's Superman. No, it's Clark Kent.
Right.
Superman is who he is because he's not from Earth. He's from
Yeah.
Krypton.
Yeah. 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 That's
And
a
so
good point.
he had to become Clark Kent to fit in.
Yeah.
So he didn't stand out like a sore thumb. And when he needed to be Superman, he was. He just didn't tell anybody that's who he was.
Right. That's a good point. I never thought about that. You're right. It's kind of the reverse, right? Like he had to become somebody, quote unquote, lesser of who he was.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. So what's next? We're in, kind of the beginning stages here of 2020. It's been an interesting year to say the least. A lot of people are saying 2020 WTF. God willing, it's going to get better. But what's assuming that by the time this airs, we're making some progress, moving on from the COVID-19 phase of
Right.
2020. What's next for you? Where are you going with the Brian K. Wright Life 2.0 here?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think a lot of people would very easily say that this version of 2020 was not on anyone's vision board.
Right. Yeah.
But I think
social distancing was not a word used commonly until now, right?
No, I think the thing that I'm going to do next is to have a team around me, maybe a virtual assistant, or maybe have somebody do some of the things that I normally do that don't necessarily generate revenue. And I've been one to want to do everything. That's the kind of person I've always been. I source out all my graphic design because I do not have skills. So I think adding more people to that stable will be great too, because if both of my designers are busy, and I had that moment in February with a project waiting in line and that person waiting for his project to be done, I didn't think it'd be fair to bring on a third person at that time, because I didn't want a brand new person who I'd never worked with before to work on this brand new project that he had never done before. I didn't want to do that because I thought there was a lot of potential for angst and anxiety. And so when one of my two designers got done, I gave this project to him and it was great. We got it done in time. But I think having more people than I need on call would be a really great idea. So that's what I'm going to do next.
Beautiful. So Brian K. Wright starting two brands from scratch, the host of Success Profiles Radio on every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, right? Mm-hmm. And that is, tell us the website again.
SuccessProfilesRadio.com.
SuccessProfilesRadio.com. Simple enough, right?
Yeah.
I imagine there's a lot of archive shows there and things like that too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You can listen to all the shows. On iTunes, they only archive your most recent 300 episodes.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to SuccessProfilesRadio.com, type it into your browser or just Google it. It's every link on the first page at least.
Yeah.
And you can go there. It's on the TogiNet Radio Network. The last 6 shows are in the upper right-hand corner in the podcast player. And there's a link that says view all podcasts. You can view all of the podcasts in reverse chronological order and just click to download the one you want to listen to.
Beautiful. And then you're the publisher of Success Profiles Magazine. Yeah. And I imagine that's at successprofilesmagazine.com.
Yes.
Yes. Hey, look at that, huh?
And you get a 7-day trial for $1, and you can pick your subscription model that you want. And it's great.
Awesome. And that comes out, is it every month?
Every month.
Awesome. Well, once again, congratulations.
March issue just came out. John Lee Dumas was on the cover.
Oh, I saw that because I was on your website. Yeah. That's a good score. I mean, he's probably hard to get to, right?
Yeah, and he only has 15 minutes. And so if you want him on your show, my show is an hour long. So we taped his show in advance, and then I taped some stuff before and after. The whole episode was about 30 minutes. I've had a handful of episodes that were shorter than an hour. And usually it's because the guest only has a certain amount of time. So you roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. For those that don't know John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneurs on Fire, right?
Yes.
Very
exactly.
popular podcast for entrepreneurs. Very good. Excellent. Well, Brian, hey, listen, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being on the show. And really love what you're doing. Really love
Thank
what
you.
you're doing to help others.
Thank you.
We're definitely kindred spirits. I mean, I didn't even tell you this, but I was in radio myself, and then I started my own magazine, and now I'm a podcaster. So
Yeah.
we're living parallel lives to some extent, So
It's awesome.
yeah. But thanks again, and listen, anybody wants to get connected with Brian, throw me an email at david@davidmamano.com. Be happy to connect you with Brian. I'm sure Brian would love to see if he can help you in any way. Excuse me. Or just visit his website. And I hope this is not, you know what? No, I'm just kidding.
It's not. Do not speak that out loud.
Nope. I had a granola bar before I ate this, and I have a little bit in there. So,
Yeah.
But no, I want to thank you, Brian, again, and wishing you massive continued success. And thank you, Avanti family, for watching and or listening to this. Please continue to listen and go to AvantiEntrepreneur.com, where we have all of our past podcasts there as well, plus a whole bunch of resources as well. Thanks again, Brian. Thank you, Avanti family. Have a great day and make sure to stay awesome.